Where would I buy? In the city of Bankstown or Canterbury, Bankstown in Western Sydney, New South Wales. Now, this is not saying to rush out here today and buy in this local government area. It is by user request. But if I had to buy here, which individual suburbs, streets, potentially property types would I be looking at? Now, overall, the data here at Picky is looking at the numbers. It's not applying the human common sense check yet. It is just pure algorithmic, and it is telling us that this local government area is in the top 94% of all areas across the country. That is showing us that it does have the good fundamentals longer term. We just have to make sure this is the where is good, but the when we are actually buying here is the right time. And that's where we want to dive into today. Not saying that it is a good place to buy. It is in the top 94% of all areas from an algorithmic data perspective, but we do know what's going on with the Sydney market at the moment. And for me, the yields at a local government area level and at a suburb level are just not high enough to justify my attention, especially when I'm looking in places of Perth, Queensland, that yields are, potentially 5 or 6%, and they're going upwards at a very strong rate or knots. Overall employment diversity is excellent. The employment landscape in this LGA is outstanding overall. I do want to skip down to the suburbs quickly. All right, because this is where things get interesting. We've got Wiley Park here, number one on the list. Of the 37 suburbs in this local government area, they are ordered from best to worst from a buying window. Okay, this is like a property clock. Is it the right time to be buying here? From best to worst, higher is better. Wiley Park is jumping out to me because of the price point. It is more accessible than its neighbours, and the yield is also higher. Another one that's jumping out here is Hurlston Park, but number one on the list is Wiley Park. So for me, the way that I work is I look to number one first and then look for reasons to rule it out. If I can't rule it out, it stays number one. If I can rule it out, I move down to the next one on the list. So for me, I'm looking at certain things like, it's definitely firmly in the buying window. I'm looking at certain things like recent growth. I don't want to go into a suburb when it's been very heated. Remember, the biggest handbrake on future price performance is previous price performance. If the market's gone up strongly in value, like further south here, 22%, then that means less people can physically afford to buy there. So we want to see areas that have been consolidating, ready for another upswing, not rocketing off in the past. So it's ticking off boxes there. Owner-occupier levels, I want to see that it has enough owner-occupiers in there that are taking that pride for properties. 39% overall, guys. So this is a bit of a red flag for me. Can we make it work at a street level? Are there street pockets with enough owner-occupiers? And there actually are. For me, I like to see around 2 in every 3 people as an owner-occupier. These are the people that are really improving their properties. And in this case, when the overall suburb has low owner-occupier percentages, if this was all spread out willy-nilly or randomly, I would be a big red flag. But for me, I've got a sub-suburb here that is, a larger owner-occupier enclave surrounded by other owner-occupiers. And I am comfortable to think of this now as 2 separate suburbs. It is this western pocket that I will be focusing my attention. Does it have above average rents? Well, it is only the northern area. So now we have the northwest pocket. I want to see areas with strong owner-occupier appeal and good above average rental prices. And does it also have above average yields? Not really, maybe slightly. Not really, but we have low yields here overall. We don't actually have a huge amount of rental data, not a huge amount of turnover here in the rental market. And I know it's only 200 dwellings, but I would be probably focusing my attention, if I had to buy in this suburb, in this street pocket here. So we're talking about Cornelia, we're talking about Shadford Street, we're talking about Lakemba Street. That might be the strongest pocket of opportunity in this suburb overall. It does have a lot of owner-occupiers, or enough to be comfortable, no public housing, above average rent prices, above average yield. And does it have a lot of houses? So this is a final check and balance. No, it doesn't. It's got 10% houses. So for me, guys, this suburb is a write-off. I'm not getting all of these factors working together in my favour. The first red flag was owner-occupier appeal, and then when we dive down into the street level data, we're not going to be able to get this consistent overlap. We're not getting each layer of our research amplifying into the next. Next one down my list is, number 3, Barang, potentially even number 4, George's Hall or Picnic Point. Price point 1.2 mil here in Barang with 2.3 yield. Let's see if we can make this work as well. So just while this is loading, once again in the buying window, recent price growth has been stable, which is good. I'm just wanting to make sure that it hasn't had it rocketed off in the recent time. 67% owner-occupier, so that's great. That's what we're really looking to do. Now, the yield is slightly higher than its neighbours, many of its neighbours, but it's still not shooting the lights out, guys. Potentially jumping across to this suburb next door at 3.2% might be worthwhile. Let's have a look at the health of that rental market, the vacancy rate. 2.1%, so we're on the high side. There are a lot of suburbs close by that have under 1% vacancy rate, and that is a very bullish sign for me, especially in this working class Sydney market. You can see the vacancy rate has been trending in the wrong direction in the last 12 months. I just want to see what's been happening with yield as well. Yield has been relatively stable, and we are on a pretty high point of this cycle. I'd like to see probably a little bit longer term rental yield data just so we can see if it's at the high point or the low point of the longer term cycle. But I would probably say at 2.5% it's around average. You would expect this area to be going between 1.5% and maybe 3.5% yield. Street level comparison, owner-occupier levels are okay through this middle part of the suburb. Property type levels, once again, houses through this middle type of the suburb here. Rental price, let's focus on this northern pocket and these 2 southern pockets. Above average yield, these 2 southern pockets here have now been ticking the boxes all the way through. I'll be focusing my attention here, guys. So I have been able to find this and make this suburb work. These 2 street pockets are the ones that I would focus on. I won't go into it now. If you wanted to get those individual street names, you can jump over here to picky.com.au and create a free account to view this property data. Thank you.